Hey guys, welcome back to Fully Defined. I'm Chris, and this is the Build and Learn series where LEGO builds and SolidWorks skills come together. In this lesson, we're up to steps 41 and 42 of our assembly instructions for the off-road buggy, and we're about to combine a number of small parts together within our assembly. We're not forming them as a sub-assembly as such, more just a group of parts that we then position and move together as one to get it into final location. And what you'll see in this video is some examples of editing within the assembly once you can see that there are certain issues of parts not fitting. There's also a few other little tips around modeling some of the simpler geometry. Let's get to it. Cheers. This is a very simple part. Not much to talk about with it. Interesting name. So inside of that's 3.4, outside of this 3.2. That makes sense. Let's make them together. Flip the alignment, and then let's push this one all the way down to face there, and we can line it up, use the right plane, and then we can make them parallel. Okay, so this one here is actually not touching that face. Concentric, we'll just update that, mate. Oh, and it's this face hitting the bottom of this one. It sticks off a little bit. All right, we look at that next step now. We have 5 parts in one. Let's get them out. Some of these we've already modeled, so it shouldn't be too tricky. It is a single assembly, not a double. As in symmetric already within the part, within the sub-assembly, so it should be okay. And I'm missing one part. Yep, there it is. All right, so which of these parts have we already got? So we already have this one. So we've got this one over here. That one's done. We've got the little round one here. So we've got that one. Now when I bring that over, I'm just holding the control button when I click it, and that's what's bringing it over. This little flat one, flat square, is that used anywhere else? Let's just check our model. Can't see everything in the model now, so just need to have a look out. There's this tile that's 1x6 and a tile that's 1x1, and what we have here is a tile that is 1x2. So I'll use this one. Let's just, okay, we will create that one, and then I think these final 3 parts will create them as well. So let's start with the tile. We'll save a copy, and it's going to be tile 1x2. And for this, all we're going to do is adjust this sketch to make it not equal, but one of these being 15.8. And then flip over. Yep, there's nothing special on the underside of this part. So that is done. All right, back to our assembly, and we'll just bring that part over. We've got one of those there. These little green blocks are new. That is a green brick modified 1x1 with headlight. Simple part, hole through the middle. Yep, let's model that one. Now, do we have any small bricks? So we have a look in our parts folder. We're starting to create quite a library. Yeah, let's see any 1x1 bricks. No. Closest thing being that slope part. We might use that. So let's open that one and copy and paste that name. Save a copy of this part and open. Right, so in the copy now, let's adjust the detail. So the height will be correct. Yep. The width will be, we just need to delete this face, delete this dimension, delete this dimension. Yes. We will tweak this ever so slightly. So let's put that dimension 7.8 at the bottom, but then it's the top shape that cuts back. So there's actually like a step here, and we put that dimension in. This is what makes it a headlight part. Little step at the bottom. Let's measure it again. Yeah, 1.4. Okay, usual width, that's fine. Circle on the top, and we'll just have to change that position. It's no longer the midpoint of that. It's actually the midpoint of this whole length, which makes it very close to that front. In fact, that would suggest to me that I've made that front cut a little bit too small. So let's increase this one. It's more like that. Now we'll do the point on the front. No, I don't think we had any on this, so I'll draw this on. 0.8. Distance from the bottom, 8. Cool. And thickness, now 0.8. Distance that comes out, a little bit bigger than the bit at the front. Yep, just like that. Okay, now we can shell. For our shell, we're going through the bottom, and we're going through this hole. So we're going to select that face, select show preview. I'm going to delete face here to remove that. There is, in fact, a little step there. Actually, it's in the plastic here. It's so small, but there's actually a very thin section of plastic where there is a slight hole. What looks like a hole, only the size of a pin, but it goes through the plastic on the bottom because they've done a cutout. The detail's so small, you're not going to worry about it. But I do need to put in this hole in the back which is a square that is 4.8 by 4.8. Now I need to get that height right. What I can do is sketch another rectangle, make that rectangle equal and for construction. Okay, done. Let's delete these other features we don't need. Save and bring into our assembly 2 of those. All right, you've got 2 of those. The last one, the modified looking plate part. This one, a line plate modified 2x2 with 2 studs on the side. All right, let's start with a 2x2 part, and we will copy that name, save as, copy and open, change that name, delete our configurations and unused features. Okay. Now that is a good starting point. What we actually do here is it steps up from, it's going to be 3.2 to 6.2 on one side. Now we'll do it on this side on the right. Now we want to do this before the shell. So we roll back above there and put it here. We want to move these faces up to those dots, those studs, because they move up with the part. You can see in the detail here. Studs are in the same position, they're just higher. So that section on that side is going to be 7.8. Let's extend these faces up. Now I can check the full height, including those studs. It's about 8.2. We can see if we've got that right. We've got 8 here, so we'll just bump that up a little bit. And then on this side, I'm going to do an extrude 7.8. I'm going to extrude that up 3.2. Okay, so quick and simple. We then do our shell. Okay, you can see it does the step for us. This circle remains here, but this time we will also go down direction 2 up to next. Now we use up to next because it's just going to do this side on the left. If we were to do up to surface, you can see it would do this other side as well, which we don't want. Up to next. Okay, now they've filled in that entire section through there. So we're going to do a delete face to remove those 2 faces, and it fills in that section for us. Very handy. Last step, a couple of studs on the front. Usual 4.8, offset 0.8, mirrored 8 mil apart. And the height is actually tangent with this edge. And then how far they stick out, 1.6 millimeters. Very nice. Save and insert. And now we have the components needed to do our sub-assembly within the assembly. So how are we going to do that? First, let's look at the instructions. We'll follow these steps here. Okay, so onto the black. So we've got this one here. We're going to make this on top. So I'm going to line up these 2. And what I'm just experimenting with here is seeing if there's a way I can force it to rotate one and not the other. And I can't. Doesn't appear a way to do that. So what I'm going to do is just temporarily fix this part. Now fixing it means I right click on this. I go fix, and that stops this one from moving. So now when I do my mate, the other one's going to move. Let's keep going. Make these 2. Cool. All right. Next step. 2 green dots on the top. Okay. First we'll go with the face, and we'll put the front together. Right. And then we'll use the dot on the top to align them. And then is it fully defined? I think so. Yes. All right. Next, the brick on the top. So let's once again use our faces to mate there. But we can assume that the back face here matches and that the side face will match. We just check, looking around, that looks pretty good. And then the last step, we now flip it around, and the green one is going onto the bottom of the black one. Right. So we're not going to flip it around just yet. We'll just take that face there and mate it with this one, and then mate this face here with that circular feature, this face with that circular feature. Okay, so that looks correct. Grey, green, grey, black, light green. Let's add some materials while we've got it here. So we've got dark grey on the top, dark green for these parts. We've got another light grey for the round part, black for the little grabbing part, and then we got lime green for the last one. Okay. Now, this is kind of like a sub-assembly in our assembly file, but technically not, because these are just loose parts. Once I float this one, these are just loose parts within our assembly that are mated to each other. It's not actually a sub-assembly. If we wanted to turn it to a sub-assembly, hit save before I do, what I can do is select all the parts, holding shift, right click, and then I can press form new sub-assembly, and now it becomes its own sub-assembly. And as a subassembly, I can open it. And in this subassembly, all those mates that we've created have been merged or moved, transferred into this, at the moment, a virtual file. And it's a virtual file because it doesn't have its own file name. It's not saved. I'm going to unmerge it, or I'm going to dissolve it, because in this model, there's no need for it to be a separate subassembly. Right? As we get into more complicated LEGO models throughout this series, we will create subassemblies and then put them together. Just not today. Now, when I dissolve it, all those mates between those parts, they remain, but they move back into this assembly here. And that's that assembly where I went to before. Well, it's a virtual part that still exists, okay? I could save this and use it elsewhere, but once I close it without saving, it's going to disappear. All right, so let's move this part into position, and it is going to go up here. So we'll use a mates tool. I'm going to make some of these faces right here. Now, let's see. We can make, I think it's these and these at the back, which are going to align, but the wrong side. So I have to undo that one and just change side like that. Repeat this side here. All right, and we can see what looks like a dimension issue in our parts. So let's address that while we're here. Just going to hide this one. So what's interfering? If we do a section view, goes through the middle, we can see that black one looks okay. This green one is too low. This gray one is too low, and they need to change. Now, I think it's going to come down to my mates. So let's have a look at the mates that we just created here. And one of the last ones we added on was this. So I'm going to delete that mate. I'm just going to lift this up. Instead, I'm going to mate it on this face here. Now let's see how it looks. It's okay. The distance between these two parts here is 0.1 of a millimeter. Now, what does that suggest? Well, these two parts are mated by the orientation of these. And I put those tangent with that top face, but it could very well be that they should be 0.1 millimeter lower than that. So I'm going to come in here, delete the tangent, move them down, put in a new dimension that puts them at 0.1 from the top, save, close the file, come back here. And you can see now, these ones are matching at the bottom. So let's see how the rest of it reacts. This one looks really good. The gray one in the middle, now that one's too low. Now, why could that be? This black line here is 7.8, but this is actually too big. This part here, 15.8 by 8. I think that should be by 7.8. And those fillets will have to change too. So let's change that. 7.8 fillet. Oh, they're full round fillets, so they don't have to change. Save this. Close, and now that will no longer intersect, and our assembly is good again. Fantastic. Let's move all those parts into steps 40 to 49. Save, and let's continue. I will just update some colors. These ones are all black. So that's this part here, steering wheel, this one on the other side. Anything else on the bottom? These bottom ones are dark gray. Looking good. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end. Really appreciate that. This has been the LEGO Build and Learn series by Fully Defined. If the next video has been released, it'll be on the top link to your right. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and leave a comment below with what you'd like to see next. Your feedback is what motivates me to provide more content. See you in the next one.